G'day, welcome to Matt's Workshop. At the end of January I put a request out to the viewers to tell me what I could turn this big pile of pallets into, and there were some good suggestions. One was a kitchen workbench chopping block. The other was build me a house, but I didn't have enough timber for that, maybe only enough timber to build a dog house. But there was one post on YouTube which was to build an Adirondack chair. Now I decided to go with that, and I've been working on it over the last couple of weeks and finished it off today. Now the Adirondack chair, originally I just give credit to the plans, Norm Abrams Adirondack chair. See, I can't even pronounce it, but I downloaded these plans off the internet basically for two reasons. One, it looked simple enough to put together, and it also came with a set of plans which had all the measurements. Now the only downside to the measurements was it was working in inches. I don't work in inches, I work in millimetres, so this was the first task for me to work in inches. I didn't convert it to millimetres, but what I did do was blow up the plans on my photocopier until they were scale. So that just meant putting it through a couple of times, taping a few pieces of paper together so that I had the shapes to cut out on the bandsaw. I did run into a few problems. One was the bandsaw blade was blunt, and the one that I had on order hadn't arrived. So anyway, other than that, everything went well, and I hope you enjoy the project. So after I chased the plans onto the timber, I cut them on the bandsaw. It was struggling a little bit. As I mentioned, the bandsaw blades were blunt. Just a tip, if there were two pieces that I needed to cut the same, I screwed them together, traced them, and cut them on the bandsaws so that I only had to do one cut and that they were identical. After I cut all the pieces out, I laid them out on the table and rechecked my plans to see if I had all the pieces cut the right size, shape, etc. The assembly process is pretty simple. If you download the plans and follow it, you'll realise that there's step-by-step instructions on how to go with this. So just pre-drilling and screwing the side legs to the front support and the rear support bracket. Then using clamps to set the front legs in the right position, and then pre-drill and screw those into place. The plans called for bolts through here. I didn't buy enough bolts, so I used screws, and then later used a coach bolt just to make it a little bit stronger. My workbench is a little bit high, so for the rest of the build I decided to pop it down onto the floor. The next part was to attach the arm support brackets in place, and then also then attach on top of those support brackets the arms themselves. Trying to pre-drill and screw every hole. At some places I did forget and had the consequence of a couple of little tear outs, but considering that this is recycled pallets and it looks like it's been shot up with a 22 rifle anyway, which it hasn't, they're just all the nail holes, I wasn't too worried about a couple of extra holes that I drilled. They'll all be filled and painted over at a later date. Flipping the whole chair over, I'm just attaching the rear support bracket to the backs of the armrests, pre-drilling and bolting with coach bolts, and then also just securing up the front with coach bolts, as I mentioned earlier, on those front legs. if you read the plans, you'll note that the back support bracket is supposed to be the curved piece, and I put a straight piece in there, so I found the right piece and replaced it. This is a curved bracket which has an angle on it, and the other scrap piece is the first seat slat, which will be put on later on. Now it's time to attach the back pieces. Just find the centre of the middle board and pre-drill and screw that into place on the centre line of the backrests. Then work your way out until you've got all 5 backrests in place. Now the offcut of the lower backrest is back support is the first slat at the back, and then the other slats are evenly spaced and pre-drilled and screwed down to the side supports, which are actually the back or side legs. There we go. As you note, the boards are not quite cut as per the plan, and this is where I've deviated a bit. I've decided that I'm going to just have one big curved arch, so I've made myself a compass out of a piece of scrap wood. Basically it's just a screw drilled in there with a pencil, finding the centre of the middle board and the height that I want, and then just running the pencil along to form a nice arch, which I'll then cut out with the jigsaw. So yeah, a little bit of a deviation, but it's something that I preferred rather than as per the plan. Now I noticed that some of the boards were warped, so in my final build I've actually had to add an extra support piece on the back. And that was done on the bandsaw at 30° angle, the same as the middle backrest. Very happy with the project, and there we are before sanding it. So thanks for visiting Matt's workshop. That was the Adirondack chair from Recycled Pallets. Thanks for your suggestions. I had fun making it. There are a few changes and I didn't quite follow the plans, but it turned out quite good. I've still got to fill those holes with putty and sand it back and give it a good coat of paint so that it'll last many years outdoors. If you like the project, give us lots of likes, and please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned, there's a new workshop update coming soon. There's a few new changes around the workshop, so I'll show you those and also show you a few pieces that I've been working on other than this chair. Thanks for watching. Cheers.